If you work in a bike shop, or especially if you own one, you know that there's a lot of struggles in the bike industry today. A lot of that does have to do with problems that are outside of your control. We're in a world that's moving more online, which is thinning out margins in in-person retail, which isn't just a bike industry specific thing, but it's any smaller brick and mortar business is dealing with that challenge. But I want to talk today about a challenge that is facing the industry that is within your control. And I really think it's doing more damage to bike shops than what most people realize. Naturally, when you open a bike shop, it's because you are a cyclist and you're into bikes, and you might have a bike for every day of the week. And this is just the thing that really gets you going. It's your passion, it's why you got into this. And the business side of things might be secondary for some of you versus the bikes. When I opened my shop 6 years ago, I thought that my defining competitive advantage was going to be that I was selling used bikes, which is not something that is prevalent in the industry and definitely did not exist in my area of Central Maryland. And so having the advantage of being the only player in town, I felt was going to be how I carved out my niche and found success. And while that's been true to an extent, to my surprise, there's been another element of my business that has catapulted me to the scale that I'm in today. And that's going to be that elitism has no place within the walls of my bike shop. I'm not going to say that this is a problem in every single bike shop, but industry-wide, it is a problem. I get it. Bikes are your thing, and when somebody walks in with something they paid $150 for at a department store and they're trying to tell you that a bike is a bike, it can be a little bit frustrating. And I'll be honest with you, I'm the person that will say something about it to my coworkers after that person leaves. But while a customer is in your store, your job is to make them feel welcomed, appreciated, and heard. You opened your shop because you have expertise on bikes, but you need to remember that you're also in retail. It's just as important to sell your smile as it is to sell your expertise. Too many shops adopt a tribalistic, elitist mindset where they look down on people if they're not within their tribe. I know it's fun to talk to the other cyclists that come in. They have the nice touring bike. They know what you're talking about when you talk about gear ratios. You can get into more rapport and feel like you're talking to a friend. But let's be honest, that's 20% of your customer base at best. The other 80%, a bike is just a bike to them, and there's nothing that you can do to change that. So if you want to stay in your comfortable bubble and only speak to people that you feel you can have rapport with because they're other cyclists, then go ahead, but just be aware you are alienating 80% of your customer base. To the general public, a bike is a toy and fixing them is a hobby. Okay, I stole that line from the bike farmer, but I really agree with it. I know that's a controversial take as a shop owner because people take pride in their craft. But you gotta understand that to the general public, a bike is just one avenue of recreation amongst many. They're gonna have one or two in their garage. It might collect dust for a few months between rides, and certainly is going to be sitting in there over the winter. It's something to take around the neighborhood with your kids on a beautiful summer day and just feel the breeze in your hair. It is not, for most people who walk in your door, a method of training for the next crit race, or maybe fulfilling a pipe dream of getting into the Tour de France. Your enthusiasm is appreciated, but your judgment drives people away. So just as important as it is to instill bike knowledge into your team, I would argue it's even more important to instill an attitude of welcoming into your team members. In fact, sort of a secret sauce that I have found in my shop is having a few of my sales associates be people who don't actually have bike backgrounds, but have customer service backgrounds. Some shop owners might shy away from that, but the truth is they're not going to be running your store solo. They're always going to be working alongside with somebody who has the technical knowledge. Think about it if you walk into a large car dealership. The sales associate is not going to know all the inner workings of the mechanics. If and when things get technical, they'll always be able to lean on the knowledge of the other more experienced bike people that are in the shop. But I would argue that your sales associate, it's more important that they are top tier in customer service than they are top tier in bike knowledge. I have been shocked at the number of people that have come into my store and announced that they found me online because of the positive reviews and they had a negative experience at a shop. 99 out of 100 times that somebody tells me about a negative experience, it has to do with how they were treated and has nothing to do with a lack of bike knowledge. Nobody's coming in telling me, oh, XYZ bike shop, they didn't know what they were doing. They messed up my bike. They're all telling me I was dismissed, I was ignored, they made a comment about my weight, they said that I shouldn't have bought this bike at the department store and that I was dumb for doing so. Why are you saying something like that to the person who is paying your salary? Like I was saying, your passion is appreciated, but your judgment is not. Don't let your level of passion turn into a tribalistic mindset that alienates people and makes them choose other shops. Or in a worst case scenario, even hurts the industry at large because people who are getting into it and dipping their toes that would have maybe ended up training for the Tour de France, they got discouraged on the first step of their journey. I'm not gonna lie to you, most people will never break past the newbie level. But 1% of your customers that come in looking for a hybrid bike, they will be purchasing a high-end racing bike from you 2 years later because they caught the bug. Nothing is more rewarding than seeing that transition in a person, but it only comes if you don't push for it. Allow people to take the first step, buy a basic hybrid, none of the extra gears, don't overwhelm them with all this bike jargon, just assure them that they're getting something that's affordable and safe. 1% of your customers will come in later for the racing bike, and the other 99%, even though they don't graduate to that next level, they will refer others to your shop. So in a world where the industry is struggling at large, please remember this basic tenet of customer service. You are selling your smile just as much as you're selling your expertise. If you're interested in starting a shop of your own or scaling the one that you currently have, check out the links below. I'm an industry coach for bike shop owners. I better the bottom line of shop owners for themselves and their families.